Incredible. We have the fabulous Maureen St. Germain with us tonight. Yes, yes, very exciting. And we are going to be looking at ascending and becoming 5D. What does it mean to become 5D? I'm sure a lot of you are feeling like something is up, I'm shifting, I'm changing. What's going on here? Maureen is an international spiritual teacher, facilitator, and award-winning author with the Akashic Records. Yes. She is a healer and mother of 4 sons. That's a lot of work. Her teachings have been translated into 14 languages, both nationally and internationally. The question of your personal ascension is what today's sharing is all about. You'll learn about to break free from the 3D matrix, and all of its confines. And then we'll sort of expose the myths and mysteries of what 5D really is, because you are becoming a 5D human. Please welcome the very lovely, startling, and intelligent Miss Maureen St. Germain.
Thank you all for being here. I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces and a few people I've not met. So if you want to chat later or have a little mini reading, stop by my booth, 89A. All right, so here we go. I always begin with a little prayer, so take a moment and center yourself, put your feet flat on the floor, and we'll ask the Ascended Masters and the beings of 100% God Light, the angelic realm, Elohim, Sun Centers, ETs of the Light, the dolphins and the whales, and all the beings of 100% God Light to join us here and now, and to assist us in remembering who we really are. So today we get to talk about the big game change. We are moving from a game like football to soccer. The rules are different. The playing field looks similar, almost the same, but everything is different. And when you begin to understand how everything has changed and we're moving up, and everyone's going 5D, whether they want to or not, whether they're ready or not. Our job, those of us who are here in this room, is to help others by example, not by preaching. So the game change is coming and is present right now. All of you have been 5D at least once. It is a sine wave. You go into it, you slide back out. It's not like getting your driver's license. You don't get the certification that you're in 5D and stay there. It's not going to be some big event. Even David Wilcock has backed off of his position that it was going to be a big event, and he now gets it that it's going to be a gradual thing. And how do you know that you've been in 5D? You don't know when you're in 5D that you're in 5D because you're so comfortable and happy and plugged in, you don't notice. It's when you slide back into 3D that you remember, oh my God, what's this? And a way to know is if you've lost something, like your keys or important sunglasses or something you care about, and you look in the place where you last put them and they're not there, and you finally use a replacement. You come back, you've taken care of this errand, and you open the drawer to put the thing back, forgetting that this is the replacement piece, and the original is there right where you left it. And you think to yourself, how is that possible? How did I miss out? And the answer is when you're in 5D, you put the stuff away. And when you're in 3D and you're rushing and hurrying to find something, you're back in 3D. And so that's how you know. You've probably been in 5D at least once. Okay, a good friend of mine lost a family heirloom, a beautiful emerald ring, came home from a party, threw it in the top drawer. Next morning, thought, I better put that away properly. Couldn't find it, looked for 3 months. Finally announced to herself, okay, I give up. I must have lost it. The next time she opened that drawer, right on top. So one of your jobs is to learn to think irrationally. What that means is you learn to do the same things you've been doing, but you do it in an irrational way. And what I mean by that is take, for instance, you're going to buy a car, and you narrow the choices down, you go through the internet, you talk to your friends, you do all the research so you can pick the car that's going to work out best for you. Then you ask your higher self. That's irrational. But that's the way to do it. Because when you satisfy your ego, your personality, then it's easy because the ego wants you to be safe. And when you know how to check in with your higher self, your ego knows your higher self is always right, but it still wants to help. Okay? So if you don't know how to open to your higher self, be sure to take the postcard we're going to give you. It's got a QR code where you will be able to download a little booklet called Trade Secrets for Opening to the Higher Self. And there's also some free meditations. So the great central sun is the sun behind the sun, and it holds the divine matrix for here, for Earth. This being is also known as the dog star Sirius. It's nice to know these things. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. And this being, as the dog star Sirius, is the true source of the energy behind our sun. And when we connect with our sun, we are connecting with an ascended being because the sun has already ascended. Now I'm going to throw you a curveball, and this is for you to ruminate on. You don't have to accept it as absolute until you're ready. The Earth is now being built, lit by multiple sun simulators. A very good friend and brilliant woman in her 60s, who is a personal friend of mine, told me a story about her father, who was heavily involved in the secret programs. And he said to her that the sun, he didn't bring his work home, but he told her that he was building sun simulators. And the last project he was involved in before retirement was the construction of an artificial sun. This was right about the time that I was being told by my guides that this was so. And believe me, there's a lot of times I get information and I think, what the heck? How can that be? And my advice to you is when you get a spontaneous information, ask, how can that be? And that's when my friend had told me this story, out of the blue, right? I didn't ask her. So according to her father, it was 4 stories high, and he had started his career as a wind tunnel test engineer. She said, I assumed that the artificial sun was for the purpose of testing materials that might be exposed to intense heat. That was her assumption. I don't think that's what it was about at all. I think there was another agenda. What do you think? So we're moving into the age of the divine feminine. It does include the divine masculine. But we already know how to do the masculine thing because we've been doing it for a long, long time. What we need to do now is find a way to bring the divine feminine to the front and let her lead. Just like when you do your research, which is very masculine, and then you let your higher self lead with your car decision. So that produces balance. In our world, the male perspective is a drive to accomplish. And it's based on profit-centered businesses. See, they're cheering that. Isn't that nice? That was nice of them. In the female perspective, it's the drive to connect. That's what we care about. And we become heart-centered businesses. We can do both, make a profit and be heart-centered. So how do you label cars when you're buying a car that is not new? Do you call it a secondhand car? Or a used car? Or a certified pre-owned car? Sounds pretty good, right? So what do you call your husband's previous wife? Can you do it without judgment? Tricky. Will you call her his ex-wife? Will you call her his former wife? That sounds a little nicer. What if you call her his practice wife? This is moving into a place of non-judgment. This is how you do it. You play. You really play. So the old way is cause and effect, harmonious, and the new way is harmonious acceptance with neutral interaction, a balanced way. That's where we're headed. Cause and effect is still real, but it's a second and third dimension interaction. And the reason I label them second and third dimension is because what I have come to know is that cause and effect is a 2D linear point A to point B. When I teach about the dimensions, I talk about how each of them play into the reality. And when we're in 3D, we participate in 2D without knowing. In 5D, it's more like those crystals that are on the lights in the fancy restaurant here. If you've been in that restaurant, you know it's gorgeous. So how do we find that? Well, first we begin to understand that straight lines represent male energy and curved lines are female energy. 5D mastery uses both. It doesn't take a stand on either one. Straight lines preserve the status quo. We need to have the status quo because it helps us remember who we really are. We're God spark humans. One of the things that I believe was our prime directive was to leave home and build the database, create new experiences, as source couldn't grow unless people pretended they weren't source. Curved lines preserve expansion. The straight line represents being safe, being in the hammock, being in your mom's or dad's arms. The curved line is the adventure. We need both. Most straight lines are man-made in our architecture. Most curved lines are nature-made. You find them everywhere. And I'd like to take a look at this ruler because it's square, but at the same time it's showing us a curve. Spirals are a common shape found in nature as well as in sacred architecture. This is the Great Mosque of Samarra. It was a UNESCO site, is a UNESCO site, but it was built in 851, it was finished. And the mosque is, oh dear. Once in a while I do goofy stuff. Okay, so the mosque was built as a place to pray. Can you imagine walking around a spiral? A labyrinth is like that as well. It creates a connection to source and allows us to disconnect with all the linear stuff we have going on. So I see all expanding life as curved. All living and evolving things have a quality of curvature. So in this case, we have what I call a fractal, like phi ratio in the cauliflower. And fractal is a way of describing a series of shapes that are self-similar, but not identical, and they are connected to the overall picture by being smaller and smaller, similar iterations of the original. This work was discovered by, or built actually by a man by the name of Benoit Mandelbrot, who was a mathematician who was denied admission from the famous mathematical school in France that he really wanted to go to. Probably because he was a bit of a renegade even then. The reason I tell you this is when you are told, well, you're too far out or you're a bit of a renegade, you can say, thank you. That's what I intend. You will find your way easier. Many of the world's inventions were created by people who are not part of the mainstream because the mainstream seeks to continue and persist The innovators are outside of that, and they are not limited by the rules that govern the mainstream. So they don't necessarily see or hear or think the traditional thought, and so they're outside of the box. So there's a fundamental principle of rotation. We know that plants grow in spirals. The human embryo grows from the navel in a spiral. Those of you who've studied sacred geometry or the Merkaba know this. The human DNA is a spiral. Plants have the spiral that mathematically is called a logarithm, and it's usually in the form of a Fibonacci ratio, which means Fibonacci, the famous series 1, 1, 3, 5, 8, 20, 21, 34, 55, like that, is built upon itself. First number is 0 and 1, the next number is another 1, 1 and 1 are 2, 2 and 1 are 3, 3 and 2 are 5, like that. So the Fibonacci spiral itself is an approximation of the golden ratio or the golden spiral, which is also based on the famous golden ratio. And that is represented by the Greek letter phi. Now, phi is a very important relationship. It is not a number. It is a relationship. And this is something that really take in. How do you know it's a relationship? Because you cannot express it as a number without a continuous set of 3 dots that represent something after that. Now think of the irrational number that everybody knows, 3.14, pi. And if I say to you, what's the next number? You only can find it one of 2 ways. As my students say, you either have to do the math or you Google it. That's it. Okay? It's the only way you're going to know. And how is it that that number goes on forever? And the answer is because it's based on a relationship. It's based on a fraction, an implied contrast that produces a third relationship. I'm asking you to think in 5D, which means you think of the 4 directions and then time, and allow all of that to sit at the lower part of the surface and then elevate up into all possibilities. The Dakota Indians tell us that their year is a circle around the earth. This is important because we're going somewhere with this information. The human DNA is a spiral, and according to Leonard Horowitz, a well-known author, he says DNA is a sacred spiral, a superconductor, a micro antenna. And I say, you can program it. And that's one of the things that I like to teach. This DNA spiral shows you this relationship. DNA is measured in angstroms. Angstrom is a 1/10 billionth of a meter, and yet we find the Fibonacci ratio in it. The more I began to explore the sacred geometry, the more I began to understand that we were being given a treasure map on finding our way into a place where we want to go, which is 5D. The reason the phi ratio is so important is because this is source code for everything, and I'll show you how in a moment. According to Indian mythology, the great serpent king of the underworld was one of the Nagas, or one of the holy ones, that the Indians held sacred. They saw it as life energy, powers of the earth, guardians, and it coils around, creating protection, producing the treasure within. What we're going to do today is explore a feminine way to activate your chakras. And we start with the heart. Now, back in '95, I was told that the lowest chakra would be the heart. And I used my human mind and thought, well, that must mean that the lower chakras would atrophy. But I was wrong. I sat with that information all this time until about 4 years ago when I began to understand a whole nother layer of information. But first I want to show you why we start with the heart. First of all, my guide said, this is where we start. And Thunderbeat, a well-known musician and spiritual guide in Sedona, said to me one day, well, my guide came in and said, we start with the heart. Make a chakra meditation starting with the heart. And she said to White Eagle, no, I'm not doing that. I already have done 2 chakra meditations. I'm not doing another one. Start with the heart. And so she did. And then I come along and I hear her say this, and I said, that's amazing, because I was told the same thing. And there's something very powerful about getting a piece of information and sitting on it, and then when someone else tells you the same thing, you now can say to yourself, oh wow, I now feel validated. Each of us will get to the point where we are able to trust the information that comes in. And although I trust the information that comes in, I still like it when I get validated, and I'm sure you do too. In esoteric philosophy, the logos, which is what we just talked about a second ago, is an abstract term. And that was from Helena Blavatsky, who wrote The Secret Doctrine. She's a very well-known mystic. There is an eternal and periodic law which causes an active and creative force, the logos, to emanate from the ever-concealed and incomprehensible one principle at the beginning of every new cycle of life. And that's part of the Theosophy teachings. So it's designated as the seat of intelligence by Brahma, by Solomon, and by the universal logos. So the heart is the center. And it's also the seat of circulation in the blood. It is your link between heaven and earth. So why do we start with the heart? It is your connection between heaven and earth. When you do Qigong, you always spiral from the heart. In Tai Chi, you also move around the heart and go in and out of that connection. And I am going to take you through a very short, easy heart connection. And this one is a way for you to remember forever how to get in your heart. Have you ever been in a place where someone says, get in your heart, and you're thinking, well, I don't know how. I don't know what that means. So the way to do it is first close your eyes, feet flat on the floor, and think of something that you really love. It could be a pet or an infant. Can't be a grown-up because grown-ups can hurt our feelings. So you start with a little one, a pet or an infant. And it doesn't have to be your pet or infant. And you hear yourself say in your thought, I love you, and do that 3 times. If you're sensitive, you'll start to feel a change in the way you feel at the center of your chest. And that is actually what it feels like when your heart chakra opens and expands. Now send a beam of love and light up your pranic tube to touching your throat chakra, your third eye, your crown, all the way up to your 8th chakra. And invite your higher self to join you. When you do this, pretend that your pranic tube is like a giant water slide, and your higher self will come in with you, and it widens your channel. Every time you announce to yourself, this widens my channel, guess what happens? Your pranic tube widens, and your capacity to channel and hear your own guidance increases. Now, with all this lovely energy in your heart, including your higher self, give this feeling a name. And the name can be the name of the pet. Don't use the name of the infant because infants grow up. So then you want to give it a random name, like red or pink or green, the color of the heart chakra. And now say the name again. You could even call it heart love. All right, so your heart will be open for the remainder of the day, and you can open your eyes and get comfortable again. You now opened your heart, which is an important part of what we're going to do next. In this meditation that I'm going to teach you, we are controlling the guiding flow of the chakras in a feminine way. So the Fibonacci spiral is often represented in this way, but I'm going to show you why it's so powerful. If you look at the square on the left, you can see it looks like a quarter of a circle. Can you see that? And then look at the square on the top right. It too looks like a quarter of a circle. And then the bottom right looks like a quarter of a circle. And what we're actually doing is taking a angle that produces this relationship simply with a ruler. And the way you do it is on the very first, I don't have a pointer here, do I? On the very first, oh yes. All right. Let's see what we got here. It's not plugged in, but maybe the Bray works. It does. Oh, perfect. But will it show on this? No. It shows on my hand. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so I'm glad we have this, but that's not going to work for me. All right, so everybody take a look at this one. This picture. And if you could imagine you drew a dot in the center of this one square and then connected it to here and then drew a trajectory down, it would land here. This is how you could produce the golden ratio in a rectangle without any kind of round shape. The reason this is possible is because there is a proportion between the center of a square and the extension that gets created when you draw that line. This shape is the most comfortable shape to look at. When they tested people for rectangles, squares to rectangles, they found that no matter what size the rectangle was, you start with a square and then you extend it longer and longer. 75 to 80% of the population preferred this shape without any understanding why. That's why when you look at a piece of carpet or a wall painting, you will discover that the phi ratio is readily present. And that's why these are so popular. If you talk to somebody who's an artist or an architect, they study this information. Again, why is this important? It's source code. Once you start to understand that it's source code and you see it everywhere, there are ways to create and manifest using source code. So this DNA spiral shows us the same ratio. The major groove and the minor groove represent a certain distance. So this is the minor groove, the yellow, short, and the blue is the larger one. Remember I said a DNA is measured in angstroms? 1/10,000,000th of a meter is 1 angstrom, and yet you find 34 to 21 in this particular DNA spiral. Another way to look at it is to have a calipers, a tool that you can use to measure the hand. And what it does is allows you to see the direct relationship. This particular calipers, the smaller measure is 1, and the larger measure is 1.618, which is the same as the phi ratio. And you'll notice I refer to it as a ratio because creativity is built on relationships. It's not cloning. It's not duplication. We all seek comfort. We seek to be back home with God. And the way we do that is we have this fabulous dessert at a wonderful restaurant. And then we go back so we can have that fabulous dessert again. It's comfort. But if they don't have it, because the chef is very creative, then you're not going to get to have the comfort, but you might get something new and exciting. Some of us are more creative than others. I will never forget my 11-year-old son saying to me, "Mom, this dinner was really good. Could you please make it again?" Because I always made something different. I was always adding things or taking away based upon what was in the refrigerator. Never even realized that for a 10-year-old, the same thing that he really loved would be comforting. That's exactly why little children, like 3-year-olds, want to read the same book over and over. You're bored, but that gives them comfort because they know what's coming next. That's what it's like when we're with God. That's why we seek that. We're programmed for that, but that's only half the creation. The other half is all those irrational numbers that produce a ratio. So the next time someone tells you you're irrational, you can say, "That's half the creation. Thank you." So this relationship is found, as you can see, in all the bones of the body. It's everywhere. Now, we're going to talk about a spiral chakra meditation. This particular shape is the spiral shape that's found in galaxies that are self-perpetuating. The spiral structure is not a chance happening according to science. Instead, it is the most common kind of galaxy in the universe. Our own Milky Way is based on the spiral. The spiral structure is formed due to the stars inside an emerging galaxy, and they create a gravitational difference that turns it into a rotating disk. And if there's two masses that are doing this, then you get an eclipse, an elliptical kind of orbit or spiral. So now we're going to talk about the chakras and the chakra order, and you're going to learn what I learned. We know the traditional chakra order looks like this. If we start at the top, it's the crown, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, sacral, and root. That's a straight line. But according to the ancients, that's not what they saw. And I'm going to introduce you to a mystic from the 1600s called Gitchell. Gitchell was born in 1638, and he was both a lawyer and a theologian. Once he became more and more conscious of the spiritual world, he gave up his worldly pursuits and began teaching what he was getting. It was at the height of orthodoxy, so he basically went underground. He was chased out of his home country. He lost all his belongings. And he was so secretive after that that only a small group of followers were able to see his work. He saved this particular picture, and it was printed in one of his books called Theosopha Practica. And because he was so secret, he didn't write any explanation. For years and years, as a mystic, I would pick up books on the chakras, but I could never look at them. I would think, oh, I should have this book. And then it would sit on my shelf. I couldn't really understand why I wasn't to look at them until I saw this picture. Now, it might not be clear in this picture, but I hope that it'll be more clear in the upcoming picture. It's a little bigger. But I'm going to show you a couple of things. First of all, He starts with the heart. Now he has a serpent around here, and the serpent is wrapped around in a way that shows the serpent going down to the solar plexus. As soon as I saw this, I understood. That is the way we should be activating our chakras. Then it moves to the heart. Now the ancients knew that activating the sacral,
To the throat.
I'm sorry?
To the throat, not the heart.
From the heart to the, oh, excuse me, we're going up to the throat. Yes, thank you. I'd like to introduce my husband and fellow teacher. So you, from the heart, you move to the solar plexus, then back up to the throat, and then down to the spleen. They skipped over the sacral. And the ancients believed that activating the sexual organs would be counterproductive to spiritual work. Now, I will say to you today that we get a lot of influence on the sacral. And you're probably giving it a lot of good energy anyway. So don't feel bad that you're skipping over it here, okay? Don't judge that. Don't move into judgment on that. Then we go up to the third eye, and then down to the base chakra, and then up to the crown. Then I take people to the earth star, which is below the feet, and then the higher chakras. We're going to do this meditation. These are the colors that we will be calling out. The heart chakra is green, the solar plexus is yellow, throat blue. Some of you may know this, but it's nice to know. The spleen is orange. And by the way, have you ever noticed those monks that wear bright orange? Do you know why? Because they're not sexually active. And the bright orange keeps that chakra working and energized. So there are other ways. If you're not getting sexual energy moving in your life, just make sure you get enough orange in your life and you'll be fine. Third eye is purple. The root chakra is red. The crown white. The earth star chakra is a golden color. That's below your feet. And the earth star chakra is the new chakra for most people. And it's right below your feet, and it connects you to Mother Earth. The reason that it's new is because we've already started to become fifth dimensional. And being fifth dimensional means we care about the earth and each other as much as we care about ourselves. And then the higher self chakras start with luminescent purple and green. One other thing that we want you to know about the heart chakra is that the blood is also connected directly to the heart. The heart is the center pumping the blood throughout your body. When we look at the DNA, we find that it has a capacity for bioacoustical reception, that means sound, electromagnetic transmission. We've often heard that the heart has this ability, and there's even a program called Heart Math that magnifies that information. And there are ways to upregulate this data so that you can vibrate at 5D all the time. So how do we awaken the chakras? The chakras will unfold and transmute their energy into progressively finer vibrations. This allows you to fuse pure creative energy with chi. Now think about it when you do martial arts and you're doing these big motions that are always centered on moving energy. And there are parts of the Qigong that I practice where you're bringing energy up or you're bringing energy down, but it's always from the outside in, moving it towards the center. When we harmonize our natural energies, we can transmute these creative coils, the chakras, into the center of our being, which allows us then to power up the rest of our energy field. Now, I want to say one other thing. A lot of people don't realize that the chakras are receptors. They are radio receptors and transmitters. That's why you can go into a room and know there was an argument, or you can know that there was something interesting happening. Your chakras are reading the field. One time a friend of mine said that she knew this guy had a crush on her because she could feel her sacral chakra light up whenever he was around. I'm wondering if she had a crush on him. You never know. In any event, each of us can be aware that these chakras are receptors. Now, if they are receptors and they're reading the field, what if you did something very different than what you've currently been doing? What I mean by this is, what if you started with the heart and you infused the heart with unconditional love from Source? You've already done that. We did that earlier. When we start, you can think of a little one and create that energy again. Then when you move into the solar plexus, what do you commonly know about the solar plexus? Fear, anger, frustration. But if you start infusing it with heart energy, unconditional love, that turns into bravery. It turns into safety. It turns into understanding the reality in a way that is compassionate. Then when you move up from that energy to the throat chakra, you gained stability here instead of fear. And then you're able to speak your truth because you have the stability that you've built here. And then when you move to the spleen, this is the center of the energy that you receive from the sun and the great central sun. So it powers up everything. So you get a little boost at that point. And then when it cycles up into the third eye, you have a balanced system because you amplified all the good that you have in your heart in each of your other chakras. That's why we start with the heart. Now I'm going to play for you the actual guided meditation, but I'm going to take you through a instruction so you understand what we're going to do. First of all, you start with the heart, and then once you hit your higher chakras, you will be tilting the whole system sideways. So now, you take the crown and it's behind you, okay? You've given it a 90-degree turn. That 90-degree turn is exactly what allows us to jump dimensions. Think about stories that you've heard about UFOs. They make a 90-degree turn and they're gone. And over, I have encountered this idea of the 90-degree turn being a pivotal or pivot point to allow you to transcend where you are at. So you tilt the crown chakra behind you, and the entire system is like the spiral that I showed you a few moments ago, spinning around you. So you are like the sun with all the planets rotating around you. Now, the group that I work with very closely, the Ascension Institute, the year-long training I have, they have been doing this as a group for a long time. And the stories that I get back are that when you create this field, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It takes you higher and higher. Now, this is a new way of interacting with your own chakras and gaining connection with energy that is beyond your normal capacity, your normal senses. I don't recommend that you stay this way. At my house, we remind ourselves to close it down if we're going out to the doctor or to shop or something. And I recommend that when we do this today, that there is a point where I'm going to tell you to bring it back. And that means you'll tilt the whole spiral back in this flat plane instead of this flat plane. Okay, so I think you're ready. Do you think you're ready? So let's be really clear. While keeping your chakras connected in an anti-clockwise spiral, as shown by the line in this diagram, the line's not orange. You rotate the entire system clockwise, as shown by the black line. So the entire system is rotating in a counterclockwise way. This is similar to when you activate your Merkaba. You're creating a counterclockwise energy. That produces a ratio. That ratio is a creative force. Remember, ratios that don't resolve produce creativity. So it would look like this. You're in the middle, and it's rotating around your heart. And then finally, we're going to look at your higher chakras and imagine that they are moving in a coil in the opposite way above your head. This part is still a little bit experimental, but we do have this meditation available, and I now invite you to join me in doing it. Are you ready? Okay, so if we can turn the lights down just a little bit, I will begin. The first part is an introduction, and it kind of reviews what I've just told you. It's 3 minutes long. The second part, the actual activation, is about 20 minutes long, and it will take you from activating the chakras in a spiral way, and then it will walk you through activation, and it will then walk you back. I'd like to say one other thing, and that is we're in the age of self-activation. While it is possible for other teachers to help you activate, the more you do it yourself, the more control you have over your world. So I invite you to do this with us now. The spiral chakra meditation will start with the heart, and it will expand your awareness with the heart. You will spiral down, then up and downward towards your spleen, not upward. You will invigorate the energy of the heart into your spleen, and repeat this elevating of each chakra with the energy of the one below it and above it. Each higher chakra cleanses and supports the one below it, uplifting it. Initially, with your activated heart chakra, you will spiral down, then up, down, then up. But think of each chakra in a new way. It was abundantly clear to me that it was how to create a chakra tool of the highest order. I have introduced this to my Ascension Institute participants for the last 3 years with amazing results. One of the members wrote me saying, I keep seeing and sensing more and more with this spiral meditation. Love it. In this spiral activation, I'd like to draw your attention to a very special mudra that you can do. So you'll hold your 4 fingers very close together and then bring your thumb close to them so that your thumb can touch every one of your fingertips. You do this gently, don't force it. And if your fingers won't go there, don't worry about it. Do the best you can. Your arms will rest on the arms of your chair,
on a pillow or on your lap. This mudra will greatly enhance this meditation. Your gonads are located in your sacrum, and we will not be activating that energy. Instead, you will be elevating your spleen chakra, which is also one of your secret ray chakras. Early Alakites never activated the chakras at the sexual centers, but instead knew that the spleen was for vitality, which would receive its energy from the sun. Furthermore, activating the energy at the reproductive centers was considered dangerous by many mystics, according to C.W. Leadbeater in his book Chakras. Quote, "The spleen chakra is not indicated in the Indian book on chakras. Its place is taken by a center called the Svadhisthana, situated in the neighborhood of the generative organs, to which the same 6 petals are assigned. From our point of view, the arousing of such a center would be regarded as a misfortune, as there are serious dangers connected with it. In the Egyptian scheme of development, elaborate precautions were taken to prevent any such awakening." Your chakras were never meant to be stuck so close to your body. They were initially intended to be like an orbiting energy and not stationary. This means, in this meditation, you will take your whole chakra system, turn it on its side, giving it a 90-degree turn. Imagine the 2-dimensional model that rises above and below your heart, and then rotate the whole system, creating a spiral with your chakra centers rotating around your heart, circling your body like planets. They will then move into alignment at the center of your heart. Your heart chakra becomes both the base and the center chakra of your activated system. Each time you are instructed to allow your chakras to move back into your body at the end of this meditation until you can safely maintain your activated Merkaba field and continue to grow your awareness of your energy centers. We will also be inviting the golden sheets to join us, enveloping us as we produce this very special activation to ensure that your chakras are invisible to those who have other agendas. Remember that the crown chakra at the top of your skull is in the same place as the soft spot of a baby. All the locations of the chakra are depressions. You don't always see them, but you will see them in the skull. They were pushed into the body. As you develop your chakras, begin to fill and expand them, creating more of a 3-dimensional saucer shape than a flat disc. Your next step will be to allow them to plump up and, as in the spiral meditation, move outside your body briefly. With your spiritual advancement, they will increase in size and radiance and receptibility. This is why the crown of so many Buddhas show a bump on the top of the head. So let's begin.
So I want to remind you that at one time your chakras did spin around your body in this way. And because beings that wanted certain things to happen, they began to manipulate our chakras. So a correction was made and they were tucked into your physical body. You're taking this gift
of your chakras being outside of your body and re-owning it like claiming your inheritance, because that's what you're doing. We call in the energy of the golden sheets, great beings who have energy that look like bed sheets, because they shield your visibility in a way that makes you no threat to your enemies. This means that your light will not agitate others. It also means your light will not attract other energies that you don't want around you. This is why we call them in when we do this, because humanity hasn't been doing this kind of an activation, and it gives everyone a chance to do this, see how it feels, and maintain that field, and then bring it back. So make sure you take care of yourself and bring it back at the end until you're more comfortable with this information. Here we go. This part is about 20 minutes long, and we will have a little bit of time for questions after this. And remember your mudra. Chakra meditation. This powerful meditation will launch you into the stratosphere. First, we will begin with your heart. Take a moment and allow yourself to remember a time when you have held a beloved little one, a pet or an infant. Hear yourself say to this little one, "I love you." Then allow your expanded heart to send this love and light up your pranic tube, past your third eye, crown, all the way up to your 8th chakra, where the portal to your higher self is. Now invite your higher self to join you in your heart. Let this expanded awareness put all of your attention on your heart. Move into gratitude. Tell yourself, "I want to open my heart even more." The first chakra of this meditation is located in the center of your chest, at the level of your heart, and is a glowing golden color. It undulates and moves and expresses itself through 12 spokes. You're invited to activate. What matters is that you have powered up your heart chakra with more of your divine self. Love your heart chakra. Then we move in a spiral way up and around the heart, down to the navel chakra. This second center is the location that you have spiraled to. It is also called the solar plexus. From here, you will receive a primary boost from the unconditional love in your heart. The solar plexus chakra has 10 radiations. Typically, humans have focused on fear and survival in all their permutations. And this chakra is very closely associated with feelings and emotions of various kinds. Now you will imbue this chakra with the love, safety, contentment, and peace, knowing that everything that used to make you afraid can no longer cause you any problems. Although the predominant colors of the solar plexus are orange and red, there is some green to it. You have added more heart energy so that the green element grows. The green allows you to balance the energy that is disquieting or scary and move to a place of no fear and awareness where all is well. No fear does not mean you go into fearful places unaware. You now take this balanced energy that you know you are safe and loved, and you can express this in your throat chakra. Now we bring this balanced energy into your throat chakra, this very powerful center. This will allow you to express your balanced love, security, compassion, and safety through your voice. You can express this love toward anyone you come in contact with. You can speak the truth with both love and safety blended into it. This greatly amplifies your power because it is no longer scary to yourself or another. The third center you are focusing on, at the throat, has 16 spokes. There is a good deal of blue in it, but its appearance in your evolved soul is silvery and gleaming. We now spiral down into the fourth center at your spleen. It is devoted to the specialization, subdivision, and dispersion of the vitality that comes to you from the sun. This is exceptionally important as it flows into your heart chakra, which is expanded to hold this love and light. This is also why it is one of the secret ray chakras. It literally is the power center of the sun behind the sun. You have integrated much of your energy, and now it's time to allow it to spread throughout the body. You have contained within your own personal power, along with the awareness of your surroundings and unconditional love that holds everything in balance. This gives you true vitality, poured out in all directions, including your generative organs, but not focused on them. Each of the 6 outpouring rays carries with it each of the primary colors in their most vibrant expressions, representing the vital forces of each of the 7 rays. This is the only chakra that has a dual function of being both receptive and emanating. We are now moving up to your third eye. You are bringing to it your connection to source and vitality. Plugging into the third eye allows you to have a contentment and mastery that would not otherwise exist. This allows you to be open to new ideas and be receptive to the connections you are building with spirit and the higher planes of existence. This blending allows you to use your physical discernment along with your spiritual discernment to create a level of mastery, becoming the ascended master on earth. There is much mystery surrounding this chakra. We do know it is related to the pineal gland in a very specialized way, creating perception without knowing how one knows. Now we make our spiral even bigger as we flow downward to the root chakra, the 6th wheel at the base of the spine. It has a primary function related to life force energy. However, as you have now imbued it with each of the chakras at their more evolved state, including the spleen and that direct God energy, your physical connection to the physical body and humanity seems more compassionate and fulfilling. This allows you to use your physical body in a way that makes use of the power, safety, unconditional love, and insight of all your chakras, and permits your whole body to be imbued with your wisdom channel and your awareness of higher realms. Every cell becomes more alive with these energies from the spiral. You now spiral upward to your crown chakra. As you move up into the crown chakra, it is located at the top of your head. The seventh wheel is also connected to the pineal gland along with the brow chakra and amplifies this energy into your crown chakra. The right angle, 90-degree, reappears in an important link between the third eye as the pineal emanates upward to the crown. Now that you have anchored all the energies of the physical body into your crown chakra, you have the ability and capacity to understand yourself and those around you with such love and compassion that you get them even when they don't get themselves. It allows you to start to connect with the greater consciousness of this reality. This right angle that exists between the third eye and the crown chakra literally pops you into a higher dimension. Because you have added all your chakras to this spiral, the spiral is now moving around you. Understand that this allows you to have that awareness. What you do with that awareness is up to you. Now, we will spiral down to below your feet. This is your Earth Star Chakra. This chakra is not connected to your physical body, but it is there in your energy body. This center is a new center for Earth humans as you are acquiring more and more knowledge in connection with and in the spiritual realm. These higher realms are part of a new activation that is coming. Those of you who are already doing the 5D Merkaba know this meditation will tap into that already. What the Earth Star Chakra does is integrate the energies of all your chakras that you have spiraled around you and now connecting into the earth. And it puts you and the earth in direct communication. It also allows you to invigorate both you and Mother Earth simultaneously. This chakra tends to be a beautiful rose with purple and with earth tones mixed in. The final spiral going upwards is to your 8th chakra, the portal to your higher self. As we spiral upward again, this chakra above your head is the 8th chakra. This is where you will find your higher self connection. It is the bridge between heaven and earth for you. It is the gateway that you widen every time you connect with your higher self. It is the portal where your higher self energies radiate from. It creates an incredible energy. It has an exquisite turquoise and lavender center, while the inner pulsations are blue, green, with red gold pulsations. Now imagine you have anchored your pranic tube to both the energies of the Earth Star Chakra and the 8th chakra, seeing both of them, one above your head, one below your feet. Now, see it spinning like a gyroscope. and allow yourself to move the entire system and rotate it 90 degrees, keeping your heart chakra at the center and letting the chakra centers move around you like a satellite. Let them orbit around you. Stay with this for a few moments and imagine the entire system is a planetary system serving you. As I have mentioned earlier, when the chakras were given to humans, they were never intended to be locked into the body. They were intended to be outside the body, where they are far more powerful. Let this feeling grow and grow, expanding your awareness and creating an expansion of your mastery. Stay with this visual as long as you wish, and then allow the chakras to rotate back into their usual location. Feel them lock into their familiar place, and let them enjoy their new direction. Let them see the new chi that is circulating around you. This is chi that you have garnered and gathered into these chakras by moving it into a spiral and activating the lower chakras with the higher ones. You may even see these chakras moving in your body in this new way over the next day or so. When you feel complete, open your eyes. You may wish to seal your chakras by moving your hands over them. This energy is far more useful to you this way. You will be energized and rejuvenated. One student reported to me, "I knew where you were going before you did it, and I now feel so much more alive." Open your eyes when you're ready.
So I'd like to invite you to share your experience or questions you might have. I believe this is one of the free meditations on our, no? So as you can see from the way this goes, can you like slowly turn the sound down a little bit? So much. You could stay in meditation longer and then tilt them back if you wanted. So we do have a couple of free meditations for you that will help you gain a certain amount of mastery that makes this meditation nicer. One of them is the Golden Bowl. Some of you may have this one already, and this is the one where I teach you how to activate the energy centers that sit around your forehead and the sinus cavities all the way around the body, around the head. I nicknamed it the satellite dish to call home because that's what it feels like. And the side effect, the wonderful side effect, is your sinuses will open up. Even if you didn't have a problem, you'll feel your sinuses open up. Do you know what the other one is? The heart chakra? Heart countdown? Yeah, I forgot the name. There's a heart countdown, which is another lovely meditation. Those are free, and also a booklet called Trade Secrets to connect with your higher self. So if you've never done the higher self practice that I teach, I highly recommend it. A lot of people will say to me, oh, I already have a good connection with my higher self. And then my request is, okay, so do you follow it all the time? And if the answer is no, then you really don't have a good connection, because your good connection would be so good that you wouldn't want to not follow your higher self. Do you see? So if your ego and personality get in the way of that and say, oh, I don't know, then you haven't developed a true feeling. This is the intuitive part. This is the irrational part. So we've got other music playing. Can you turn that down? Hopefully. So those things are my gift to you for either showing up at our booth or coming today. Evanine has them to pass around.
I'll go when everyone's leaving.
On the way out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sign up to go and I'll give you
Okay.
all the coffee.
All right. Any comments or questions? Go ahead.
So I have a question. What would happen if you don't put your chakras before going out? Let's just say they're like at the 90 degrees when you're going out.
And you just leave them? You're asking what would happen?
Yeah.
Well, the reason they were put back in the body in the first place is because other beings who hang out, and I'm not going to get into the talk about entities, but you get my drift, had a way of manipulating them and messing with them. So would you invite a stranger to come in and mess with your computer settings? I don't think so. So that's what could happen. You could have a dangerous situation. When you can maintain your field in a very powerful way, then nobody can touch you. Let's say you're doing the Merkaba and you're doing other things to energize and maintain your field. You're not doing drugs, you're not doing alcohol, you're eating clean. Then you have a fighting chance of keeping it out all the time. But I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it yet. Maybe in a few years I will. Anyone else?
About 5D. So I'm still learning all this.
Uh-huh.
So recently we went to 5D, are you saying?
No,
Or is this something?
no. We didn't recently move to 5D. What's happening is we're opening up to 5D. That means that, how I said it wasn't like getting your driver's license? You don't get a card that says you're eligible now. Instead, it's more like when you need to borrow a car. You always check in, can I go to get your car? Can I use your car? Think of it as a gradual evolution. So humanity has the capacity to be 5D. We're not able to hold that all the time. So when we think about 5D, it's a place where you're harmonious. When somebody tells you they, broke your computer, you go, I guess I needed a new one. You don't get upset, you see? And you might have extra work in front of you because of something that has happened, but you don't let it drive your energy. You choose to stay in your heart. So I think of 5D as a sine wave. So sometimes you're in it, and sometimes you drop down. You're in it. There will reach a point where you will be in 5D all the time. For some people, that may have already happened. But 5D is already available. We're sliding into it on a regular basis. In a way to remember how this works is when one of my sons, who was always in trouble, did something really, really wonderful. And I called my mother to tell her because she was always hearing about the other stuff. She said, well, honey, kids don't grow up in a straight line. And I said to her, what does that mean? I was pretty naive. And she said, well, when they do something really mature, they usually follow it with something stupid. And she was right. So that's how you remember that even you or I can be in a very high state, be very wonderful and loving and supportive of other people, and then we drop down. And we get annoyed because somebody didn't do what we wanted.
My question is, I thought this was absolutely marvelous to see the spiral outside a person.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't it be, does it have to be an either or? Couldn't it be a both and, that you start inside with a line, and then you go outside and spiral around? When you start outside and spiral around, and go this way?
What I can tell you is, according to the picture of Gitchell, I had an instant recognition. It was almost like the picture was waiting for me or I was waiting for it. And in that picture, he shows the spiral. And then I was shown by my guides to tilt it. That's the straight line. Because it is true, we do want to have both male and female energy. So the spiral gets the chakras moving in a very feminine way. And then when you tilt it, you're giving it the masculine 90-degree shift. Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk later if you have a question. What else?
So once it goes in the crown chakra, then you move the light down to the earth star chakra and then back up to the higher self chakra?
Right. 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 So her question was, once it moves to the crown chakra, then to the earth star chakra, and then to the higher chakras, the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's in the 5D Merkaba meditation. Other questions or comments? Go ahead.
I noticed that when you mentioned that it should go from like heart to solar plexus, for me it was happening simultaneously as it's rotating as it's direct, something that I did incorrectly. Because I was doing both at the same time, like I was going down and I was going back.
Aha.
Yeah. So
Well, okay, so you all you did was take a shortcut, okay? I'm giving you the step, but if you can manage to hold both of those visuals, go for it.
I think I did it incorrectly.
Good. Very good. Anyone else? I'd like to thank you all for your time and your interest. It is my deep pleasure to work with you. Hurry up. There are people leaving. So we have a postcard for you. How are you?
Keep on rocking. Is that all right? You like to move to the drum machine? 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 You like to move to the drum machine, like to move to the drum machine.